Alright, let me take you into one of the wildest experiences of my life, something that still makes me shake my head whenever I sit on my porch and think about it. I had just gotten back from a 4-day work trip, tired but happy to finally sleep in my own bed again, when I pulled up to my house and saw something that made me question if I was even at the right address. There, right in the middle of my lawn, was a small construction crew with jackhammers tearing up my grass like it was theirs. At first, I thought maybe I'd turned into the wrong driveway, but then I noticed my dog's chew toy lying under the bush they were about to rip out, and my stomach just dropped, because right behind them, rising out of the ground like some ugly monument, was the half-built frame of a shed. And not just any shed, but one with a big bold sign slapped on the side that read HOA storage members only. My heart skipped. They were building on my property, my yard, without my permission. I parked, got out, and walked straight up to the foreman. I tried to stay calm even though my blood was boiling. "Why exactly are you tearing up my yard?" I asked. He shrugged, like it was no big deal, and said, "Take it up with the HOA." That was all he gave me. No apology, no explanation. Just go to the HOA. So, I did. I marched into their office, and who was sitting there but Karen, the HOA president? And of course, she had that smug look, sipping out of a coffee mug that literally said, "Boss babe." She didn't even look up properly when I walked in. Just said, "We're expanding our storage for neighborhood tools. The board approved it." I told her, "That's great, except you approved it on my land." And she actually smirked at me, and said, "It's common area, you're confused." But I wasn't confused. I knew every inch of my land. That property was mine, legally, and I had the plat map and the deed to prove it. So I went home, dug up every single record, highlighted the boundaries, scanned everything, and sent it to the HOA with a firm warning to stop construction immediately. I thought that would be enough. I thought, surely, once they saw the proof, they'd back off. 2 days later, I came home to find the concrete slab already poured. My grass was gone, my bushes bulldozed, and the shed walls were halfway up. That's when I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding, this was arrogance. Pure, entitled arrogance. So I decided to fight fire with fire. I printed a massive 3-foot sign that said, "Private property, you are trespassing," and planted it right in the middle of my lawn facing their construction site. I took a dozen photos, from different angles, timestamped, geotagged, backed them up twice. Then I called my real estate attorney. By the time the HOA sent me a nasty letter accusing me of interfering with community development, I had already mailed them a cease and desist via certified mail. Return receipt requested, copies of my property deed, my survey, the photos, everything was airtight. And let me tell you, that cease and desist letter was brutal. My lawyer made it clear. They were trespassing. They had no permits, and they had 10 business days to remove every single thing they had built. You'd think they'd panic. You'd think they'd realize they'd messed with the wrong person. But nope, these people doubled down. The very next day I got a citation in my mailbox. Apparently, my giant red private property sign was non-compliant signage. Then, another citation followed, this one for unauthorized landscaping changes. Wanna guess what they counted as unauthorized landscaping? The giant hole they themselves had dug in my lawn. I wasn't even allowed to alter it at that point. I knew I had to take this further. I went to the next HOA board meeting. The second I walked in, Karen smirked again and said, "Oh, it's Mr. Survey Lines ready to cause a scene." But I stayed calm. I passed out printed maps, survey documents, and time-stamped photos to every single board member. I told them, "Your shed is 10 feet onto my property. I've notified you. I've given you every chance to fix this. You're choosing not to." Karen rolled her eyes and said, "It's for the benefit of the community. You should be proud your yard's being put to good use." The room went quiet. One neighbor actually clapped. Another whispered, "That's not how this works." Even the treasurer looked uncomfortable. After that meeting, my lawyer filed for a temporary injunction in civil court. We added retaliation to the list of complaints because of those fake citations. I even had a licensed surveyor come back out to remark the property lines with bright orange stakes so no one could claim confusion. But the real turning point came when a county building inspector showed up. Turns out, the HOA had never even pulled a permit for the shed. Not one. The inspector looked at me, shook his head, and said, "This is a huge violation. They're going to have to explain themselves." So we went to court. And man, that courtroom was quiet that morning, but my case file wasn't. We walked in with everything certified, letters, photos, timestamps, the inspector's violation notice, and to boundary surveys with GPS coordinates. My lawyer was calm, almost bored, like he knew how badly this was about to go for them. Karen walked in wearing sunglasses indoors, trailing their lawyer, who honestly looked like he regretted every life choice that got him stuck on this case. The judge wasted no time. "Let's establish the facts," he said. "Who owns the land?" We handed over the deed and plat map. The surveyor testified, pointing to the boundary stake still visible in my yard. The structure crossed the line by 10 feet. No easement, no shared rights, no ambiguity. The HOA lawyer tried to argue it was common area based on historic use. The judge shut him down. Did you pull a permit? He asked. No, Your Honor. Did you verify ownership before building? The lawyer stammered. The board believed, and the judge cut him off. I didn't ask what they believed, I asked what they verified. Silence. You could hear the air conditioner hum. Then the judge slammed his gavel down. The ruling was crystal clear. The HOA trespassed, built without permits, retaliated against me, and showed willful negligence. Effective immediately, they were ordered to demolish the shed, restore my property to its original condition, and compensate me for damages, court costs, and legal fees. Karen's jaw dropped. She leaned over and whispered to her lawyer, "How much?" He didn't even answer. After the ruling, everything shifted. Neighbors started asking questions. Some even texted me saying the HOA had done similar things to them, trimming trees without permission, repainting mailboxes, rerouting sprinkler systems. I wasn't the first victim, just the first one to fight back. And the best part, watching them tear down that shed. No ribbon-cutting ceremony, no newsletter, announcement, no smug speeches, just a silent crew at 6 in the morning, trying not to be seen while they undid their mistake. I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee and watched every single nail get pried out. They paid every cent of the $94,000 settlement damages, legal fees, restoration costs, and, honestly, compensation for wasting my time. Karen resigned a week later. Her email was short and passive-aggressive, due to increased personal obligations. I will no longer be able to serve this community. The new HOA president was a retired judge, the same one who had clapped when the demolition started. My bogus fines vanished. My non-compliant signage citation disappeared, and those neighbors who had whispered thanks during the court hearing, one brought me a pie, another asked me to help challenge suspicious dues increases. Turns out, the whole community realized we actually have rights. Now my yard is back to what it was. I installed motion-activated cameras, added new survey stakes, and even placed a small engraved plaque that reads, "This land is legally and forever mine." And every time I see Karen walking her dog with her sunglasses on, head down, not daring to look at me, I can't help but smile. That shed wasn't just a structure. They thought it was a symbol of their control. But tearing it down became a symbol of mine. So let me ask you, do you think Karen and the HOA got what they deserved? Or do you think I went too far, taking it all the way to court? Let me know in the comments, because I know people have strong opinions on HOAs, and I'm curious where you stand.